Jim Bellino doesn't believe Alexis Bellino and Tamra Judge are truly friends. When Alexis Bellino returned to the Real Housewives of Orange County this season, she was in a good place with Tamra Judge. It was a surprising development because they hated each other during their last stint on the show together. There has been much debate about whether they strategically mended fences to take down Shannon Beater, because season 18 has featured them both making damaging accusations about their co-star. As a result, Alexis and Tamra have faced never-ending backlash because viewers struggle to understand how they became friends and, more importantly, why they have it out for Shannon. It hasn't been a good season for the ladies, and Alexis' ex-husband, Jim Bellino, is questioning whether they are even friends. Do I think they are truly friends? No, he declared in a recent episode of the Sarah Fraser Show podcast. I think that is a relationship out of convenience for the show. Tamra and Alexis are seemingly close friends. Jim's sentiments on the situation make sense because he was still married to Alexis when she was on the outs with Tamra, so he knows much more than audiences about how deep their hatred for one another ran. Tamra has continually defended Alexis on screen this season and in interviews since filming wrapped. Still, the reunion will likely tell us whether their friendship is genuine. According to Andy Cohen, Alexis activates and disrupts the calm tone of what is typically a season-ending screaming match between the ladies. There are reports that Tamra and Shannon managed to repair their friendship, which indicates that Tamra has reflected on the backlash that has shown her that she was too hard on her former friend. Tamra patching things up with Shannon wouldn't sit right with Alexis because, as we've witnessed this season, Alexis has complained when she's been shut out of certain cast events. Jim thinks Alexis deserves an orange and a big salary from RHOC. Jim also spoke out about his confusion about why Alexis only returned as a friend of the Housewives. He feels she should have given it her all and returned with her orange. Jim, who is married to Alexis for 14 years, believes she could have commanded a healthy salary from the show because she was crucial to this season's biggest storylines. We may have had a more boring season without Alexis, but the last couple of episodes have had no Alexis and a lot of drama. At this point, there's no confirmation of whether Alexis will return for season 19. A recent report indicated that her job was in jeopardy because producers worried about whether she and Shannon could coexist and film together. Jim Bellino leaned back in his leather chair, a smirk playing on his lips as he scrolled through the latest headlines. Alexis Bellino and Tamra Judge reignite their friendship, one read. He let out a short laugh, shaking his head. Right, and I'm the Queen of England. Jim never fancied himself the jealous ex, nor did he waste time concerning himself with Alexis's social life. But this was a different kind of ridiculous. The very idea of Alexis and Tamra being friends was laughable. He had watched them clash for years, witnessed the pointed insults, the thinly veiled mockery, the disdain that seeped into every interaction they had while cameras rolled. And now they were grabbing lunch together, giggling like sorority sisters. Please. To Jim, it wasn't a matter of bitterness, it was a matter of reality. He had seen the way Tamra delighted in Alexis's misery. He remembered the harsh words, the constant jabs about Alexis being a Jesus Jugs robot, the snarky comments about her lifestyle. Tamra had mocked their marriage, their choices, and even their divorce. And now suddenly, she was cozying up to Alexis, as if the past had been erased. No, Jim wasn't buying it. He had seen this before. Tamra was strategic. Every move she made had an agenda, and it always benefited Tamra first. This wasn't about rekindling some long-lost friendship with Alexis. This was about optics, about playing nice to the cameras, and keeping herself in the conversation. Maybe she wanted to keep Alexis close so she wouldn't be on the receiving end of one of Alexis's tell-all moments. Maybe she was trying to rebrand herself as someone who had matured, a woman who had made amends with her so-called enemies. Or maybe Jim thought with a dark chuckle, Tamra just needed someone new to stir the pot with. He could already see the storyline playing out in his head. Alexis would naively step back into Tamra's world, believing in the illusion of friendship. She'd open up, confide in her, share personal things. And then, just like clockwork, Tamra would do what she always did, use it against her. Whether it was a petty whisper campaign or a full-on betrayal, Jim had no doubt that this friendship was little more than a ticking time bomb. His phone buzzed on the desk, a text from an old friend who still kept tabs on the Bravo universe. "Dude, did you see this? Alexis and Tamra are all over each other on Instagram. Tamra called her the sweetest soul faux." Jim snorted. The sweetest soul? It was almost too good. This was the same Tamra who had once laughed at the idea of Alexis being intelligent, who had tried to humiliate her at every turn. Now she was singing her praises. Jim would have sooner believed pigs were flying over Orange County. He wasn't sure what Alexis got out of this reunion. Maybe she wanted back in the Bravo world. Maybe she had truly convinced herself that people could change. Or maybe she just enjoyed the attention. But Jim, he wasn't fooled. He had spent years in that circle, understanding the power plays, the mind games, the unspoken rules of who stayed relevant and who faded away. And he knew Tamra played the game better than most. Leaning forward, he tapped his fingers against his desk. Should he say something? Would it even matter? Alexis had a mind of her own. She wasn't the knave housewife she had been in her early days. She had been burned by this world before, and yet here she was, walking right back into the fire. Jim sighed. Maybe he was overthinking it. Maybe this wasn't about revenge or strategy. Maybe people really did change. And maybe, just maybe, Tamra had found it in her to be a genuine friend to Alexis. But then again, Jim smiled to himself, shaking his head as he closed his laptop. He had a better chance of winning a Housewives fan poll than believing that nonsense. Alexis could believe whatever she wanted, but Jim Bellino knew the truth. Tamra Judge was nobody's true friend. And sooner or later, Alexis would remember that too.